We are live. We are 2 seconds in, guys. Evening, everybody. I'll let a few people jump on here, and we're going to introduce everybody. Let a few people get on here. I guess, is it still raining down there, John?
Oh, it's beautiful right now. Yeah.
I got you. I wonder if it was still raining down there.
It quit probably 2 hours, 2.5 hours ago.
I got you. Got a few people jumping on here. We're going to let a few more get on here, and then it's just buggy out here, up here right now. It didn't rain a whole lot. I think y'all got more rain down south than we did here.
Probably all in all, with last night and today, we probably got 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 of rain.
Man, y'all got some. I don't think we got near as much. I don't think we got near as much out there. We got about 12 people on here. Hey, y'all know me. I'm Shane Jones, John and Jessica on the bottom, and that's Mr. Keith Cole right there in your upper right-hand corner. He's coming live to us from Las Vegas. He's out there on some trips, some business trips. You doing all right tonight, Keith?
I'm doing great. I can't complain.
I got you. He's out in Vegas enjoying some vacation time and handling some business. Mr. Keith's gonna go over. He runs the Alabama Crappie Trail here in Alabama Crappie Masters here in Alabama, and I'm gonna let him go over some stuff that he's accomplished with Alabama Crappie Masters. It's a long list, and what he's done and got sponsors in and got these counties in Alabama involved, and trying to shake things up and make some of these trails pay some money. So, but go ahead, Keith, and introduce yourself and tell everybody, what your plans, what you've been doing, and what your plans are. Go on into it.
My name is Keith Cole, for the ones that don't know me. I live a little northwest of Huntsville, Alabama, in a rural community called Harvest. Me and Wesley sort of inherited Alabama Crappie Master State Trail back in mid to maybe the 3rd week of October. It was really more than Wesley could do with his job, so he said, you've got to get a schedule together, and they wanted it in 7 days. We got one together in 7 days, but it was basically based on entry fees only and pay out a percentage of that. But being a business owner starting 37 years, I wasn't satisfied with that. I was told I was wasting my time, and I was told it would never be successful. So that was the wrong thing to say to me, because I wanted to prove a lot of people wrong, just that it could be good, because I've seen many people over years and years fish crappie and have great crappie tournaments. So then I started the process of calling location on location, trying to get sponsorship from, say, Chamber of Commerce's, cities, just however we could, businesses, even done a little ad promotion where I sold ads and put their logos and business ads on the trailer, mentioned them on Alabama Crappie Trail social media.
Right.
We had pretty good payouts. I think the littlest payout we had for first place this year, I think, was $1,200. That one was on the Alabama River, because that one was really hard to find a sponsorship till I realized Elmore County would sponsor it if we moved it from Swift Creek to Cooter's Pond.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dan with Crappie Now sort of led me in the right direction for that. So I owe him a thank you to help me get started and support what we were trying to do for the state of Alabama. We've had 5 tournaments, all of them been considered a state qualifying tournament. Our 6th tournament's coming up next weekend at Lake Mitchell.
That's right.
What we had to do was fish in 3 tournaments to qualify, or fish 2 tournaments and pay the $100 entry fee, as you say would have paid for a tournament and just didn't show up to fish. It looks like we've got between 20 and 25 qualified for the championship. We could have 45 if some would fish Mitchell and pay the fee, or just some fish Mitchell or pay for Mitchell. My goal was to try to at least get 30, because 30 boats in that championship was going to guarantee $4,000 to first place.
That's awesome.
We're going to fall short unless We have some unexpected people to qualify in the last week. Um, we we had some tournaments. See the Mitchell tournament. We got great uh, sponsors. That's going to pay $2,000 to first place. I think that's really good, especially at state, because even like the National Trail, Crappie USA, most of theirs only pay 2,000 for first place.
Right.
Jordan last month paid 1,500. Pickwick Wilson paid 15. So we've been between that 1290, I think 14 for one. We've had as high as 35 turnout at Weiss because we had two separate tournaments, one for us, and I always invite any local club to fish with us. And we held two weigh-ins. A lot of theirs fished our tournament. Some of ours fished theirs to make their pot a little bigger. We've averaged 25 boats per tournament from the least to the most. It looks like I'm going to try for the championship to do something to start the first ever Alabama Crappie Trail tournament and have a one-day event added on
Yeah, I
top
seen
of
that. I seen that. You posted
top
that
of the
earlier about
2-day
that.
because Elmore County has been good. They sponsored two regular tournaments. She was listening when I was on the phone when Mr. Crappie announced they were coming to Logan Martin.
Yes.
I think that was January 13th, and I was telling Wesley I was going to have to try to find somewhere to move it. So she asked, could they have opportunity to buy that tournament? And I said, well, sure. You doing January, you're doing April, you want to do June too? And she said, well, sure. We just want to have the opportunity. So Miss Lisa, Bart, and Art with Elmore County Economic Development Authority, they have been some awesome people to work with. And that's the purpose of trying to have that tournament to draw numbers that's going to be beneficial for Elmore County, which that tournament, if I do go through with that, would be $125, just a one-day event for anybody that has not qualified for the state championship.
You're just going to give them a chance to jump in on it if they missed a few or something like that and give an opportunity for them to qualify for the championship.
Well, that one is going to be totally separate. They'll fish on Championship Saturday.
Okay.
What we're going to call it is our Alabama Crappie Trail first ever inaugural tournament.
Right. That's okay.
Just to draw numbers. That payout's going to be based on entry fees only. I don't have a sponsor for that one, but we have a lot of people that like to fish. But I say the big guys, the ones that fish tournaments, I say every weekend or 2 or 3 weekends, they sort of scare the ones off that just do it for fun. They don't want to put their money in and get their eyes beat in. So I'm going to say this is going to be like a Division II tournament for people that's not a guide, people that's not fishing in our state championship, just to give, I say, the beginners maybe want to try to fish tournaments. Maybe that'll give them some confidence.
I understand. I got you. Yeah, just, that's going to be the first inaugural tournament, Alabama Crappie Trail. So that's going to be June the 10th. Is that what you're shooting
That's
for?
what I'm trying to see. This is what I'm doing. I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but to me, Alabama Crappie Trail, that is something me and Wesley put in place. I incorporate that with the state of Alabama, so nobody can take that from you. You don't have nobody to answer to but me and Wesley's wife. I'm going to include her, Candace.
Okay.
But look, everybody know that without the guys fishing, I don't care what the name of the trail is. If you don't have the guys fishing, you don't have a trail. It don't.
Yeah. You're seeing some of that on the national level right now. I mean, you're seeing
Yes.
16,
So
20 boats.
communication is good, and I feel like we have had great communication with everybody from say day one, and I've met so many people. I asked people, especially John, I asked for advice. I'm new to the tournament fishing. Wesley's fished now starting 2 years in May, but I've only sat in the back of the boat and dipped fish and like to fish with a cart and a minnow.
Right.
So, I'm new and I'm learning. So I've posted just 30, 40 minutes before you went live, asking for opinions.
Yeah, I
because
seen
if
that.
the majority don't want to do that, we're not going to do that. I don't want to make people mad and then they don't fish the trail because everything we've worked hard for would just be thrown away.
Yeah.
Right.
But after that championship, it will be Alabama Crappie Trail from now on. We are working with a couple of national trails to have invitations to national championships. I can't announce who till after June the 10th, but
I
it will be
understand.
announced. We will have a website as we start next year. It's called Alabama Crappie Trail. People will be able to pay their yearly membership. I know the national trails do that, but people don't understand the cost to run one. Insurance,
Oh yeah,
event
it's
insurance, it is astronomical. And I don't know. I guess I got over $10,000 in this one this year, and so I've had to learn how to help cover some of those costs.
oh yes,
Um,
it's a big it's a big to do. It's not like it's not like you just throw something together for the weekend. When you're trying to get support from the counties and commissions and make sure you got enough guys there, it takes a big effort. I applaud y'all because when y'all took it over, it took another gear. I mean, when I fished in February at Cooter's Pond, it was a nice tournament. I don't know how many boats we had in that tournament, but I mean it was fun.
we had 23, and that was probably the most brutal conditions
Oh, it's
that
oh,
day.
oh yeah,
Because look, Thursday it was 74 in tornadoes.
yes,
When I
that's
seen the
correct.
tornado coming, I just went to the motel room. I pulled the curtains, turned the lights off, and went to sleep. I said, if it's going to get me, it's going to get me. And
I remember that's the one that went through Selma and everywhere else. So, you're exactly right.
Hey,
then I got up about an hour and a half later, and somebody from my hometown was sitting on I-65. He drives a semi truck. The tornado had crossed 65, I guess, between Prattville and Clanton,
It
and
did.
was
That's
having
right.
to sit there waiting on the road department to clean all the trees up so they could continue driving. So it was close. But then you go from 74, I guess it was 35 on Friday, and we got there that morning 28 or 29, and the wind out of the north,
It
20
was
mile an
brutal,
hour.
man. It was
It was
brutal.
bad. So, 23 for that turnout. I applaud everyone that showed up. That was you real true fishermen that showed up that time. What I have learned, just my opinion only, is in Alabama, it seems like if Jonathan Phillips calls it, if the stars don't line up and the weather conditions ain't just perfect, most people stay home,
That's exactly
except
right.
your avid tournament fishing people. So um, I'm tickled so far with what we did because I've looked back for 3 years maybe at results and looked like 14 boats was the most that any one person that was being director that had, and um, that was great. I mean, I don't have no issues with that. I think they've done a good job in the past. It's just that I have probably an upper hand. I work for myself, and I was able to take time away from my work and let my youngest son and my dad and a couple of paid workers and a sister run my business. So I really neglected my business to make it happen. And we almost have 23, 24 schedule confirmed, contract signed and set. We ain't even got through with this year yet.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're already looking forward. You're already making plans for next year. So, like you said,
Yes,
y'all already you're going to make some big announcements after June. You said so.
yes, the night of, and this year we've started a raffle drawing for a 6 hour guided trip for two. We're going to draw that on championship night, 7:30 Facebook Live.
Right.
My goal was to have 20 donated trips. And I mean, I got some awesome trips donated. We got 22 at the moment, and it's not going as good as I thought it would. I wanted that to be used for next year, say a fundraising event. I've learned that, there's only so many pieces of the pie, and there's so many national trails popping up, and one person has several trails, and you got to think outside the box. So you got to come up with ways to create money to make it beneficial for the guys to come and fish. And one thing that's going to be different next year, it looks like at the moment we have 4 tournaments confirmed that's going to be guaranteed $2,500 for first place.
Awesome.
2,500 just to stay in Alabama and fish.
That's pretty strong.
We've already got one 2-day event confirmed. I'm just waiting on the contract to get back. That one is going to be a Friday, Saturday. It's going to pay $5,000 to first place, and we may be having a second one come up. It's $5,000. And when you got four $2,500 ones and two $5,000 ones, and then the state championship, that's some huge payouts.
Yeah, that's big. That's great news. You know, these people that get into the tournament fishing, and a lot of people don't do it because, you know, it does cost a lot of money to go down there and pre-fish and stay the night. And, you know, I remember the commissioner from Elmore County coming in there and asking how much money we were spending when we filled them forms out for them. And,
yes.
You know, you start hearing people talk about, you know, I spent $300-400. I spent $500. I mean, it adds up pretty quick.
Well, so far, you know, Elmore County is the only one that has really asked about that spending bill, not the bill, but just fill that form out,
right,
so they can have something to
right.
go by and say, give their taxpayers a reason that they spent that money for a fishing tournament. Even next year, the ones that don't ask for it, I think we're going to do that every tournament, and I'm just going to submit it to say the chamber, whoever that I've worked with, the commissions, just to show them, hey, this is what our team spent while they were there that week fishing in your tournament,
Right.
that held in your location. And then maybe that'll make them eager to fund us the next year when we want to come back there.
Right.
You
You'll have the numbers. I mean,
you want to build a relationship with these that they want you to come back every year.
yeah, you don't have the numbers, you know. I mean, the numbers don't lie. You know, if you get an average, you know, if it's whatever number it is, like you're buying gas, you're buying fuel, diesel fuel, you're buying gas, you're buying, you know, oil. And I had to go buy another life jacket. I mean, we was a Bass Pro Shop spending money. We all went out to eat. So, you know, it's
and that's what say Elmore County, the tournaments there seem like everybody that comes for some reason runs the Bass Pro Shop. That one day I was talking about the tornado, we had several people that went there just for safety. And I had 3 people say, well, we went there, wasn't going to buy anything, and come out. Every one of them had spent over $200 in Bass Pro Shop just after they went in there for the tornado to pass over. And then they started picking that up. So every little bit helps them to confirm that it was worth having us there.
Hey, I got something to run by you, Keith, that just to, you know, put something in your ear, think about. I mean, I'm not by any means saying that any of us that fish these tournaments are pros, but what about having a pro-am? You know, if you had a pro-am, you know, where some of these people that are interested in fishing a crappie tournament, you had a one-day tournament where you matched some of the amateur guys up. They kicked in, you know, half the entry fee, and they got to fish with somebody that normally fishes these tournaments, and they get put with them to fish a tournament one day. You know, I mean, just do it a random draw, take a randomizer, and that's who they get put with. They don't know who they're going to get to show up and fish with.
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it really would. And you get some of these people that are, you know, normally are just crappie fishermen, and they'll get a chance to fish with somebody that, you know, that does it on the regular basis. And I mean, yeah, albeit it might not count toward the points, but yet still you're going to bring people in. They get a little taste of, you know, what that tournament fishing's about, and be on the boat with somebody that's got that right foot or left foot on the pedal all the time.
So when you say that, say you and Jess as a team, say we had 20 people that wanted to do that, then we draw, say this one is going to John and Jessica. We draw that out, and that's who's assigned to get in your boat with you for that tournament.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. They pay half the entry fee. If you got $100 entry fee, Keith, and you're going, hey, I'm gonna put $50 in. I'm one of the, you know, one of the guys that draw. Then you got 20 names, and we draw it the night before, and you know,
they find out who they're fishing with the night before. They're gonna get on the boat with them the next day.
That'd be awesome.
They go out with that angler. All right, so let's just say that Joe Smo shows up and he wants, he's interested in crappie fishing tournaments, but he's scared to go out there and try it. And he comes and signs up for that tournament. All right. He gets picked on a randomizer. All right. Boom. Just picked Aaron Knight. He's paired with Aaron Knight for the next day. So he'll be on the boat with Aaron Knight for the next day. And you don't, the person running the boat don't know what they're going to get. The person that gets in on the amateur side, call it amateur side, whatever you want to call it, they don't know what they're going to get, but they're going to learn. But both people are going to learn,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I've seen that in bass fishing, John, but I haven't never seen that in crappie fishing.
Well,
I mean, I know they used to do it years ago when I was growing up watching.
I feel like
I have decided to add one thing to next year. We're going to have two divisions. We're going to have Division One, and that's going to be the caliber of guys that's fishing this year's trail. And then I'm going to have Division Two, just like college football. Alabama and Auburn's Division One, and then you got these littler schools that's Division Two. And you're going to have guidelines that if you've placed, I don't know, maybe top 5 of any national event or top 25 of Mr. Crappie Invitational, you can't fish that. Or if you've won $5,000 at those national events, you can't fish that.
Right.
A way to increase interest is have those guys that, like John said, is scared to come up and fish against the other ones, or don't want to get beat in, and give them the opportunity to fish among their own. But at some point in time, we have to move them up in class.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the middle of the season, but at the end of the year.
I wouldn't necessarily say scary. I mean, it's intimidating. I mean, I remember the first time Jessica and I ever fished, we went up to Lake Gunnersville. I mean, golly, for the first one, that body of water, and just, you've never done it before. And the whole time you think you're messing up on some rule, or you're doing something wrong, or you're getting too close to another boat. You just don't know. It's like, you don't know how to do it. You don't know anything about belly weights. You don't know anything about keeping fish alive. I mean, all you've ever done is slay and fillet.
That's right. Snatch them out of there, throw them in the live well. Hope don't matter if they live or not.
That's right.
Well, that's like the first tournament we had at Neely Henry. There was 4 of those guys that had never fished in a tournament. They good at going out there and catching crappie any given day, but seemed like every one of them finished 28, 27, 26, and 25. One didn't even catch a fish, but he come for the door prize drawing, and he actually won a door prize. But he's not come back, or really all 4 of them has not come back. It might even been 5 of them, and one of them was from, say, up close to where I'm at. I think they were around Hartsville or Danville, and they was talking about how many fish they was going to catch, and they got down there and they was in the bottom 6 or 7, and they told Wesley, because Wesley knew them, but they just wasn't ready for that kind of crappie fishing yet. So, if you could get guys like that, even if you don't have 5 or 10 month in, month out, well, what does that do? It builds their confidence. Plus, another thing it does is it creates numbers for wherever you're fishing. We'd still have both tournaments on the same day, just like we did with Coosa Crappie Club. And even if I have some that fish that one and we go back to Weiss and Coosa fishes with us, we'll just have 3 in one day. The weigh-in is not hard, and the way the daughter-in-law, Candace, splits the screen, she put everybody that fished Alabama Crappie Trail or Crappie Masters. She put the ones that was in Coosa only. When we partnered with Crappie USA, she kept that separate. I actually posted there on the TV screen because they didn't have it really where the public could see it or the anglers could see. So she does real good with computers and having that put up. So we're just trying to increase interest and numbers to be beneficial for everywhere we go next year. And I mean, we're going to get to go to Gunnersville next year. We're going back to Neely. We're going back to Weiss. Looks like we're going back to Pickwick Wilson, Miller's Ferry down in Camden. Or really, they wanted Bridgeport, but I found out recently the guy that I've been working with from Wilcox County has found out on the same day we were scheduled and approved now there's a high school bass tournament they put on
Oh
that
Lord.
same day. And so I asked, could we go to, what is it, Roland Cooper State Park, I
Yes, sir.
think?
It's right. It's right
Could
there
we
close.
launch there? Or even Jason with Delta Jig mentioned, is it Ellis Landing?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
there?
Ellis Landing's pretty good landing too. It kind of gets you out away from the crowd there. You got a big slough there, and you have to idle out. It's a nice landing. They have a lot of fisher to men bass tournaments there, but it would be a pretty good launch.
Well, I mean, he said, for our trail and what we've been producing, either one of those would support us.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And at Jordan, we had that state ramp reserved, but there was a bass tournament come popping in there that morning. And the difficulty, it was enough of room for everybody, but trying to do live well checks, we didn't know what boats was ours and what boats was ours. So
Oh yeah.
so the three guys doing that was having to go boat to boat
Well,
asking. So that was a little confusing for
it,
our guys.
That's awesome. So you got some big plans for the Crappie Trail next year, which is great.
yeah.
You're trying to. I think, to me, that the state trails are where you're going to get some support, because a lot of people aren't getting the. It's really expensive to go fish a national level trail. I mean, a national level event, it gets pretty expensive. Not just the time away from work, but it gets up there.
Well, I've been, I don't care to ask anybody for advice, or maybe just for pointers or nuggets, as I call them. What can we do to improve? And
Right. Yeah. That's right. You got to find the formula out. That's right.
yes. So, I've talked to Eric Cagle a few times, and he gave me some great ideas. He's told Wesley a lot of ideas that we're trying to do. I didn't think about that, say, the points championship every year. If the money is good, then it's going to make more turnout for every tournament you have, especially for the ones competing for the money.
Right.
This year, we're having a $2,500 champion. So whoever wins the points this year is going to get a check for $2,500. Next year, I don't know if it's going to work yet, but I'm trying to make that $10,000. So if you can fish all of these tournaments and you up there in first place and get a $10,000 check, that's been very beneficial. We hoping, if things come together, that rather just one check, we're going to have a check first through fifth. So even if you're not competing for the 10,000, maybe you competing for a 2,000 or a $1,000 check, and it still makes it, say, second, third, fourth, and fifth, still makes it a race. Even if somebody run away with first and you knew you was in fifth, but you couldn't get first, but what if you could get third?
Right.
So it's going to make it exciting next year if I'm just going to say the stars line up, as Jonathan tells me a lot of times. If they line up and that's the way it turns out, well, we may pay 5 places in the points race next year.
That's awesome. So
I got an idea too. You said people had input. So like people like myself and Shane, we've got GoPros, and I mean I know Wes has got one. We ran those things during the tournaments. Y'all probably could pull some good stuff off to put on your, once you get your website going, as well as put on your YouTube page, kind of like some of the other tournament trails do. You could, pull, download the footage from us fishing in that tournament and do, like, maybe a little recap of each team or a recap of this person fishing. And pull those clips together and make a video each month, and that grabs people's eyes. I don't know if you ever watch like some of those recaps they do after a tournament. Those things get more views than anything they put out.
Yeah. They actually go in there and follow. They pull up to John and, hey man, what are you doing? Oh, I got 2 fish, or they just caught a big one. He's gonna show it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Without giving away a bunch of details on what you're doing. But heck, he can pull a big one out of the live well, or cut that piece out, or send it to you. So it takes a group effort for sure. No doubt about it.
It's not necessarily the boat coming over to you. Like the ones that have GoPros on their boat, they'll pull the footage actually from their boat of them just fishing for the tournament. You wouldn't have to have necessarily somebody going around there talking to them. Like if Jessica and I are fishing together, we caught a big fish. We know about what time it was.
Right, you can go back and cut it out.
I'm doing a video with YouTube before YouTube, if I know there's like a good part of that video, I'll take my hand and wave it in front of that camera like this right here a bunch. So that way, when I'm fast scrolling to find a part of the video,
You'll see it's coming. Right.
Like that, and I know where to stop it. So if we give you that footage, then obviously, you'd know to stop it, and you could make a video out of a clip of that.
See, I'm going to say Wesley is the big one on the digital side because he does videos and crops things out and edit it. We're looking next year to have a lot of videos on Alabama Crappie TV. We're trying to get a YouTube channel, I guess like your cast, your channel that you do, and get followers on it. And that would be a great idea, is to have a tournament recap. And that'll be something we're going to talk through the summer and try to do that. That was a good idea there, John.
Yeah, well, it's just like this CrappieKast, man. There's 42 people on here right now, and we're talking about Alabama Crappie Trail. Some of them don't. A lot of them just crappie fish recreation. Some of them tournament fish. Some of them's making a comment like Byron Weiss is making a comment. It's a shame you can't get support from Lake Eufaula. That's true. They don't want to. That's a great fishery, and they just don't want to try to get a trail to fish there. It's crazy, and all the bass tournaments they have there.
Well, that's like I don't like to throw people under the bus. I did reach out to Eufaula to bring the trail all the way to Eufaula because I felt like that is as far south as we could go, probably without being into Florida or maybe even Georgia. And then we do Pickwick Wilson. That is about as far north. Actually, Pickwick is part of Mississippi and part of Alabama. So we would be at the far northwest corner and all the way down in the south east corner, I guess. But they wanted to give $35 a boat. So how do you guarantee $2,500 for first place when you don't know how many boats is going to show up? If you did that and it didn't work out, then I guess Keith Cole got to take it out of his pocket and put it in. And I don't, I don't want to do that.
No, that's a big gamble. But we're just, I guess to be honest with you, it's just, just like this CrappieKast, you got to get the ball rolling, get a little steam built up, and just like they say, you make a few plays, people start noticing. You got people watching it and get a little momentum, and you pay out a certain amount of money or a certain amount of people fish. It's just something you got to keep chipping at. You can't just expect to be huge right off the bat. So.
Oh yes, and this year was a stepping stone. It was just to get started and see what we could do. I had no idea that this year would be as big as it's turned out this year.
It's a lot more than I fished several tournaments last year, and when you jumped in it, I mean, you could tell, hey, you grabbed it by the horns, and hey, you went at it, and now you're stepping more and more and getting
Well, I probably would not have done that if I wasn't told. I was wasting my time.
There you go.
That's the wrong thing to tell me. I don't care if it's playing checkers or whatever. I don't like to lose. I don't consider myself a loser, and I just had to prove a point and make it be the best that we could make it. And it's turned out to be awesome, in my opinion. And next year is going to be so much bigger. And I didn't realize really that people noticed what was going on. But I would say after the Weiss Lake tournament, I can't tell you how many texts and private messages and how good a job it's doing. You've made it exciting again. I never thought it would be this good in Alabama again. And then you start having people on the national trail that start sharing things that you post, like the raffle thing that we got going on. You got certain people that sharing our tournaments, and they ain't even in the state of Alabama. So that's letting you know that it's catching on fire and people's noticing what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's you got to keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. It's just not like you said. I think you're at least 2 years into it to say, hey, I can do this or I can't do this. At least 2 years.
And I had some people that fish a lot of the national trails to tell me that if this continues to grow, and I'm not calling no names, I'm not putting nobody on the spot, but that might be the end of them traveling as much out of the state to fish those trails because they can stay home, drive 3 hours, 4 hours the most, and
Yes.
don't have all of that expense and still have a chance to win $2,500 or $5,000.
Well, you look
And I
at
think
Magnolia,
I've done that for
Magnolia
a
Crappie
while,
Trail.
and I
Right.
think it gets old. Also, they don't want to quit fishing, but going the distance, I think, puts miles on the body and the boat.
Yeah, I mean, Magnolia Crappie Trail, Mississippi. I mean, they have they support that big time. You know, if you
Yes.
keep up with the numbers on it, that's a good one to try to follow. I mean, they have a lot of support. You know, they have.
Well,
I don't know how many boats.
I've looked into theirs when they post their results, and I see sometimes 70 something boats that have fished that tournament
Oh yeah,
consistently, 40 to 50. I don't know if I've seen anything under 40 that's fished in one of theirs this year that I could tell.
they do a really good job. I don't know how they're doing it or what they do, but hey, and they're fishing against Hayden Jeffries sometimes. So you know they
Yeah,
still have that many boats. So
yes, and I want to grow it. Say this year, like I said, it was very short. It'll be a year in October that you could consider that you've been in the industry, in the tournament trail, and we'll start back in November. We started December last year, but we're going to start November this year. So we'll have a few months in the summer to promote. I'm looking at having a booth in July in Huntsville. There's a hunting and fishing show. So we're starting, say, I've got 500 shirts being printed right now. We're
right.
going to sell those online. We're going to sell them on the website. We're going to sell them at the tournaments. Going to sell them at those fishing shows. I've got a booth at the Mr. Crappie Expo
Yeah,
in
you're gonna
Birmingham.
be there in September, right? Yeah, I remember
Yes.
somebody telling
So
me that.
we getting a stock on shirts right now. I got 6 different colors. Some of them just got our logo on it. Some is going to have a little catchy phrase above or below the logo. So it ain't just going to be a black shirt this next year. We're going to have a black and a gray and a blue and a red and a pink and maybe a green. Well, I got an orange. I forgot about it because I got a few guys that they support Auburn. I'm
Right.
Alabama, so I'm just
Hey,
trying to
there you
include the
go.
whole state. I got red and orange this year and blue. So
First two
There you
picks.
go.
do
What's that,
what now?
John?
You see who the first two picks in the draft were?
I
Just
see them right now. People's posting it.
Is
I
that
guess Bryce Hart, Bryce and who was it?
Will Anderson.
Will? I don't know. Has that ever been done before from the same team, first and second pick?
I don't know.
So who was the first two?
Bryce Young and then Will Anderson.
Will Anderson, it's number 2.
So first and second in the draft.
That's
Yeah.
crazy from Alabama. Hey, that's Alabama. Hey, we're talking about Alabama. Since I got some people on, I'm gonna thank my sponsors real quick, Mr. Keith.
Okay.
Then we'll get right back into it.
Okay.
Y'all hang on just a second. I'm gonna thank my sponsors here. Here we go. CT Ward Power Sports out of Camden, Alabama. Taylor and Jessica Ward, they've been a sponsor on the show since we started this thing. They sell Excel boats, the Stalker Side console, the Bay Pros. They sell Hurricane deck boats and Godfrey pontoons. Yamaha and Mercury service dealer. Been great folks. I'll be down there this Saturday doing some meet and greets and updating some units. I appreciate them. Alpha Plumbing, Mr. D. Robinson. He's been a sponsor of the show for a while. If you have any plumbing issues, hey, give him a call. He's one you can trust and not try to break the bank on you. I appreciate him a lot. Alabama Metals, Roofing Supply, Mr. Tommy Layton. He sponsors the show for the last about 2 months. He's located in Birmingham. He serves most of North Alabama and Central Alabama. Metal roofing accessories, residential, commercial buildings, post frame buildings, and trusses. You have any questions about some metal for your roof or buildings or anything, give him a call. Great guy. Mr. Ray Morris, Lay Lake Sunset Cabin. Man, he's got a beautiful place on Lay Lake right there in Peckerwood Creek. You're going to look for a weekend getaway, or if you're fishing a tournament or all during the summer, you give Mr. Ray a call. I appreciate him a lot. There we go, guys. I appreciate our sponsors. But go ahead, Mr. Keith. Let me make sure I hadn't had any questions going on. Anybody ask anything? Chris Collins was saying Magnolia Crappie Club had 60 boats on Ross Burnett last weekend. That's crazy.
Yes. And, I've had a couple of guys that fish the nationals, one of them, even the elite. He told me recently that he could see us having 50 boats consistently if we keep running this in the right direction and doing what we're doing. We trying to go with our rules and not bend no rules and make changes. We did have to make a change from Logan Martin on the championship because what we had worked on, if we kept it there, what was I say the need for some of these guys to continue fishing. They wasn't going to get to compete for the championship. They wasn't going to get to compete for the points.
Right.
So that's, as far as I know, the only change we made this year. And we're going to have some different rules next year. We're going to actually have a vote. We're going to have that meeting after the championship. We're going to vote on how we're going to do our team rules to compete. We're going to vote on, do we want to keep a 7 fish weigh in? We want to do a 5 fish.
Right.
I want
you get everybody involved. That's exactly. Well, myself, I should have fished more of them, but I got to booking these guide trips and it got overwhelming. Next year, I ain't doing that to myself. I'm gonna get in there and try to make it where I can fish these things. Byron, he's from down at Eufaula. He said he's gonna fish with us next year, Alabama Crappie Trail. So,
well, I had 2 guys that fished the Crappie USA Trail, and they doubled over. One of them doubled over in Pickwick Wilson, and he come up and said, "I just want to." I talked to Wesley a little. I didn't know him from nobody. He said,
right.
"You are Mr. Keith, right?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, next year I'm on board." He said, "I'm coming across from Georgia," and he said, "I'm fishing every one of them y'all got." He said, "From what I see, this is going to be an awesome thing next year." So people like that, that's what's going to make it grow. And
well, you can always, we're going to keep this thing going, Mr. Keith. And you got a tournament, you can come on here for 15, 20 minutes, tell you what's going on, tell what the prize money is, and jump right back off.
Okay.
That's what me and John started this thing for anyway, is for people to help people in the crappie industry, whoever sponsors.
Look, I'd like people to look at Alabama as, say, the crappie tournament. I'm gonna say capital of the world. They say Weiss Lake used to be called that many years ago, and
yes,
we have some great fisheries all the way from the Tennessee line to the Florida line. So why not make it be a productive tournament trail and make it lucrative for the people that want to fish it?
right.
I got something that I haven't told but 2 people so far, like sponsors. Say some of these guys that's fishing, and they can get their sponsor to, say, financial sponsor the trail. For every $500 next year, I'm going to give them $100 credit toward one of their tournaments. I don't want them to do some legwork for nothing. So every $500 they bring on, we're going to give basically them 100 of that as a discount, or just toward one of the. Not going to give it in cash, but say if we do ours and say the entry fee was $150 next year because we paying so much, then it only had to pay $50 and $25 for the big fish. If they got $1,000, well, that's $200 that they're going to be credited for. I've already got one person. I got somebody that's already put in $1,000, and they already got $200 credits already. So
that's awesome.
I was just asking that for an advice, and did he think that would be a good idea? And dang, 7 days later, he calls and said, "I got somebody that's on board, ready to put some money in." And I told him, well, you'll have 2 $100 credits next year. So he was tickled. So that's
and you can also, once you get the ball rolling on this, Keith, say, hey, we're thinking about having a tournament in Demopolis. Whether, if the city don't want to get involved and off, you got the ball rolling. Say, hey guys, we all think about fishing Demopolis in 2 weeks or whatever. And people say, hey, that's then you get to the point where you're not really depending on the economy of that certain town. You've got it as a whole.
Yes.
You've got it going. So
yes, one thing we're going to do next year. I've got some people that's working on funding from outside the box. We're going to start including the communities with a free kids rodeo next year. I'm going to try to have one, weather permitting, at every tournament. We're going to advertise it months in advance. We're also adding something new, like the Friday before the tournament. We're going to have I call it a special event. Weiss Lake is already on board with this one. They're going to work with the school system. They're going to get me 15 kids they call special need kids.
That's
Those
awesome.
kids probably will never have an opportunity to get in a boat or go fishing. We're going to have them from like 12 to 3. I've talked to a few of the guys that's going to donate those 2 or 3 hours to come to the ramp. We're going to put that kid in that boat, let them go out and try to catch a fish. Or maybe they don't want to fish, but maybe they want to ride around on the water for a couple of hours. We're going to feed them. We're going to have shirts and hats and prizes to give them. The same thing for the rodeo. I'm going to try to get a local TV station, radio station, or newspaper to do coverage on that event. Well, what would that do? That would be great PR for Alabama Crappie Trail. That might even be PR for Elmore County Economic Development or Weiss Lake Chamber of Commerce to have that shown that we not just about going out there fishing on Saturday and the guys winning the money. We want to do something that that involves the community. I say with all walks of life of people, don't matter what color they are, how old, how young they are. We looking at one location to do one of those for disabled veterans. We doing one hopefully that's going to be for cancer survivors and cancer patients. We just want to, like I said, include all walks of life to this trail. That was our mission, and our mission will be posted on our website hopefully June the 10th when that goes live.
That's awesome.
So we just got a lot of big things.
Jeff Gray's asking the question right here, Mr. Keith, and I know the answer, but you can explain. He said, are the tournaments going to spread out across Alabama equally next year like there was this year? So everybody has equal chance of fishing familiar waters. We was just talking about that, Jeff.
We right now on the schedule, I've got Gunnersville at Goose Pond. That's all the way up in the northeast corner. Yes. We come into Neely Henry. we trying to get some good places that want to pay the money. Neely Henry this time is going to be at Southside at their new park. Neely Henry is being sponsored by the city of Southside.
That's awesome.
Contract's already signed. We'll be back at Weiss Lake in March. That contract is signed. Gunnersville, that's going to be January. So there's January. There is November. There is March. Pickwick Wilson's going to be in April. That's up in the corner. We're working for Miller's Ferry area with Camden, Wilcox County. Hopefully that would be Roland Cooper State Park or Ellis Landing. We're in the works with Elmore County probably for December. And if we do the December tournament there, we're going to have a toy drive as a fourth event added to that we're going to give prizes and work with them to get us organizations, if it's a church or whatever that's doing those, that they can come to the boat ramp and pick those up. Have pictures made in front of the trailer with all of the logos, maybe even possibly get a few pictures with some of the fishing teams. I just think that'll be great. Some of them that wear their jerseys and have fishing jerseys, and some of those people get a picture made, and then Candace is going to get an address and stuff and get that picture developed and get it back to that particular kid or disabled veteran or whatever. So we are going to spread it out. We really only got 1 month of February I'm working, and it may be back at Lake Mitchell. So we could have the Alabama River / Jordan Lake as a choice for December, hopefully. Maybe Mitchell back in February, and then we've got that'd be November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and then June for Logan Martin for the championship. So I think that's a pretty good spread. In my opinion, it is. Even though John don't like Gunnersville, but I mean, I have to put it in there.
Oh man.
What'd you say?
That just goes to show I'm not biased to John. See, he don't like that. But I had to put it in there. I had to make him work for that one. I had to make him work for it.
Big Daddy's saying right here, I've always said that Alabama Crappie Trail would work. Never understood giving our money to national organizations. Alabama can be the crappie state of the nation. That's true. You got more waters in Alabama than about anywhere, and it's the God's honest truth.
Yes. And I've even been given some locations that I've never heard of before, and people say it's good places. But look, I'm not going to have a tournament 12 months out of the year. I'm going to take a break so I can come back to Vegas. I want to go to Dominican and Mexico next year. So,
there you go.
But we're going to have them, like I said, right now, it looks like 4 one-day events, 2 two-day events, and then the championship naturally will be a 2-day event. And on their 2-day events, I'm going to let the guys vote. Do they want to do that Friday, Saturday, or they want a Saturday, Sunday for the working guys? So maybe they don't have to take off work on that Friday. But
I understand.
A lot of them do because they want to pre-fish. But I'm going to let the guys have a voice in their rules and their decision. And I had 2 people tell me, after Mitchell, we're going to advertise that about 3 times a week. We're going to have that meeting, and if you want your voice heard or you want your vote counted, is to be there. Even if you didn't fish the tournament and you wasn't qualified, you still invited to come and voice. And if you don't show up and you don't vote, the rules are the rules. We're going to go with majority on what's going to be voted on. And next year, I had one person, I won't call on names, tell them, well, you had your opportunity to come and vote and be heard. You did not. So sit down and shut up and fish or don't fish. But I probably would never tell them that, but that's the way you feel. If they don't want to participate in that meeting, then you shouldn't have no gripes and complaints.
I got you. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. That's good. You let somebody just take their input. It may not be the best idea, but you got that many people in a room, something's going to come good out of it.
Well, say what if we have 40 people there? Some of them might be teammates, but maybe one teammate has a different opinion than the other teammate. They get
exactly
to
right.
individually vote how they want to do that. So if we vote on 7 fish or 5 fish, that's going to be the majority rule. We did something this year that we weren't agreed with, but we let you have a alternate in 2 events. We did that for safety or emergency things. Say somebody got sick and somebody couldn't fish.
Right.
We didn't think about people not fishing and just pick up somebody or go fish another tournament and their partner pick up somebody. But we're going to vote on that rule. Do you want to keep it traditional? Do you want to just have a team of 2 and that either fish together or fish by yourself, or you want to keep what we did this year, or even going to give an option to name a 3-person team, and any combination of them 2 people could fish and those points go to that team all year. So that's going to be something the guys and gals is going to vote on in June to make that rule. I'm not going to make that one again this year. I'm going to let them have majority rule for that.
Right.
Oh.
So it's about 5 things I think I got on my list that they're going to vote on. Most of your rules is pretty standard. Fishing time, start this time and end. And we're going to do live well checks, even though I feel like if you got somebody on the trail that's going to cheat, it don't matter if you did a live well check and whatever, they still have that opportunity. But to me, it just, I don't know. That way, I don't know. I say when they live well check, it makes me feel like they fish in the right place. For something in the back of my mind.
Oh, he froze up.
He froze up, yeah. I froze up saying we can go in and talk about fishing this week.
Yeah, we can. Well, he's froze up. That's fine. Yeah, go ahead and talk about your trip to Mitchell while we're waiting on him.
So I went. Oh yeah, I went. I was just gonna say I went to Mitchell yesterday, and they're still fishing the lake. We got a tournament there next week.
Yeah, you can't go into too many details.
No, I mean it was very productive. Caught a lot of fish, and they're spawned out, the best I can tell. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody that shows up next weekend.
Show that picture.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, here, guys. While we're talking about, we lost Mr. Keith Cole, so we're gonna go into look what Johnny sent me earlier in the week. Look at that right there.
Yeah, tomorrow morning at daylight. That's where I'm gonna be.
You see what's in them little holes there, don't you, fellas?
Yeah.
That's a little old shell cracker bed. If y'all was wondering, he's gonna go give them hell tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm excited about that in the morning. I found 2 of them actually. That one, the fish showed up a little bit better in the bed when I took the side imaging picture, and I'm probably gonna make them have a bad day tomorrow. I hope if they act right. We had a lot of rain today. Everything worked right.
Oh yeah,
Jane,
I'm on.
You had a real big weekend on Alabama River.
I did. I was going to actually drop this picture here of me and Joe Allen. We went below the dam and got into some fish, and we had a good time. Let me get back out of here. We had a real good time. Like I said, I went below the dam, and those fish were hugging the bottom. And I was explaining to John, I've never really caught fish that's hugging the bottom like that. It was totally different for me. A lot of people bottom bounce when they put a half-ounce weight or something, and they have a minnow rig above it, and they're bouncing. Those fish come up off the bottom because they're used to that current, and they stay down. I was catching them off the bottom, and it was a different method to catching crappie to me. I'll show you, Joe Allen. We caught some nice fish. I'll just add it to here. Joe Allen and I don't guess we kept 25. We caught 30 something probably. We had a blast. We were throwing just a shad colored, like a monkey milk, and spraying the tail chartreuse. There he is with those fish right there. Real good. That's all done. Old Joe Allen. We had a blast catching those fish, man. We caught a lot of males, and then we went above the dam in Miller's Ferry and got into brush piles. And we were talking about last night on Big Daddy's podcast on Getting Outdoors with Big Daddy. All those fish, and John will tell you guys, those fish are in secondary cover. They're off the bank. They're in brush piles. They're in standing timber. It's the next cover off the bank. So these people still daubing the banks. I'm not saying you're not going to catch anything, but there's a lot of still small fish still left on the bank. But all your bigger males and females, they pulled out, and they're out there in that secondary cover. John will tell you, he ran into a lot of fish last week early. He's fishing not far from, down there around his area.
The good thing about fishing that lake that you mentioned about me is can't everybody get on there.
True. Yeah, it's a military thing, so it's
on Fort Rooker there's a lake, and I'm not scared to say it. It's a lake on Fort Rooker. It's a nice sized lake, and man, when it's on there, you can have a big time. I'm talking about big time, but you gotta take a military boating course, and you got to go through get a license for the base, and then of course you got to be able to get on the Army base. So it's a lot of stake to be able to fish there, but it's when it's hot, it's totally worth it. I shared some pictures with Shane. I mean, I come up on stuff. It's like, blah, the whole stream is covered with crappie. It's just.
Oh yeah, there's John. Hey, that was Keith, Mr. Keith's back. There you are, Mr. Keith.
Yeah, I guess they must have a time limit. They booted me off the internet here.
That's all right. We just answered a few fishing questions. That's all we were doing. We were.
Well, I didn't know if you need me on more. I'm here.
I wasn't gonna let you go like that. But guys, Mr. Keith Cole here, Alabama Crappie Trail, Alabama Crappie Masters right now. Then it's gonna be Alabama Crappie Trail next year. So y'all get on there and get on Facebook and support him, and he's got a lot of good things coming in the works. But
Jay, I want to say this. I don't know. We got some people on it now, and people listen to this after the fact. Please go to the Alabama Crappie Masters Facebook page, and when you go on there, we've got 23, I think, of some of the best guides. I mean, not all the guys. Some are just fishermen and fisherwomen.
Yeah.
That have donated their time to support the trail for next year. And all you're buying a raffle ticket, and you're going to have a chance with that raffle to go fish with somebody that's truly amazing. I can't express it enough. I mean, just go through that list and look at some of those people that donated trips.
Yeah, John's got a trip. I got a trip. Ryan's got a trip. Eric's got a trip.
Cagel's got a trip.
I don't. There's a ton of trips on there. And hey, you guys, you don't realize that's $450 worth of trip. You know, I don't know how much the raffle tickets even more. How much are they, Mr. Keith?
They're $20 a ticket.
$20
And
a ticket.
we even offered 3 tickets for $50. So you save $10 if you buy 3. But a $20 ticket, and we're gonna give 22 trips away at the moment. And I just say an average of $450. Some may get less, some may get more.
Oh yeah, that's 100%. So that's on Alabama Crappie Masters, right?
Well, we changed the name to Alabama Crappie Trail because I wasn't supposed to announce things till June. I guess I got aggravated at some things. I got disgusted with some things about communication, and I just went ahead and let the cat out of the bag. So Wesley said, okay, we got to change the name of the trail to Alabama Crappie Trail. He said, because you've done that now, and somebody could come in and start a Facebook page, Alabama Crappie Trail, and you can't get it. So
that's true. That's true.
We have Alabama Crappie Trail. We still have Alabama Crappie Master logos and stuff on there. That'll all change after June the 10th. We have our logo that we use. It's going to be on our shirts. In the shirts we're selling, it's not for me. It's not for our staff. Those proceeds are going to the trail. Those proceeds are going to fund tournaments, going to fund some of these kids' rodeos, some of these special need events that we're going to have. That's how we're going to do what we're going to do.
Like I said, anybody that wants to have a good time, all those guys, I know everybody on that list that offered a trip, a 6-hour trip, and just go buy you a ticket. I mean, and if you're not able to give it away to somebody else that can go crappie fishing.
That's right.
Tell your mom, your dad, your grandmom, your aunt to buy a couple of them. They can give it away if they win, they can give it away to you. Either way.
Right. Well,
I promise you this one thing: if you win the trip with Jessica, now you have a big time. One way or another, you will have a big time.
And look, I bought me 6 tickets. If I win one of them, you better believe I'm going to get in the boat with whoever except Wesley. If I win Wesley's trip, if I win his trip, I'm just going to put it back in because I can go fishing with Wesley anytime I want to go. So I don't want to take that trip. I want to give that to somebody, or I may keep it and I may give it, as John said, to somebody for a gift. But I won't use up this trip.
That's not a bad thing. But you got to realize, guys, that it's not just for the crappie trail for prizes of first place, second place. He's giving opportunity to disabled veterans, to special needs kids. It's not just going to the crappie trail to support it, to pay these guys first, second, third place, whatever. It's going to a lot more causes than just the crappie tournament itself. So, and we want to support all that stuff. So,
well, I'm even going to, at Lake Mitchell, I'm going to have a boatload of shirts for sale. It's going to be different colors. I'm going to go ahead and start selling them. I mean, if I sell those, that money's going into next year's checking account and have more made. So
good stuff.
Like I said, I'm going to show those when I pick them up on Tuesday. I'm going to show the colors, post them on our site. Like I said, that shirt might be $20, and if we make 8 off of it, well, it's going into the fund for the trail.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. It's been a great show. We've been on here an hour and 3 minutes. It don't take long to fly like that.
No, when you get to talking and enjoying it, it disappears in a hurry.
It doesn't, man. I appreciate you coming on. Alabama Crappie Trail on Facebook. Great guy, Mr. Keith Cole. He's got big things coming for that crappie trail. Like I said, as far as disabled veterans and rodeos for special needs kids, it's coming. Me and John will probably get on here if we miss some questions. I know the hour flies by. I could talk about it all night. We'll answer some. I just want to keep to get all the information out about the Alabama Crappie Trail. That way, somebody may have questions and just get the word out and get the momentum started, push it a little bit more. I appreciate you being on here, Keith.
All right. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm going to say good night from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm fixing to get packed and catch a plane at 12 o'clock Las Vegas time and head toward Nashville.
Yeah, well,
So
stay on
I'll
here when I
see
end
y'all.
this stay on here when I end this broadcast, and we'll chat some more and talk about some other stuff. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. CrappieKast Live, John and Jessica, Mr. Keith Cole, myself. We'll be back on here Thursday to answer some more questions and talk about this weekend's trips. And everybody, John's going crappie. I guess he's going shellcracker fishing tomorrow. So I've got trips off this weekend, and I'm planning on going Sunday. So thank y'all a lot. We'll see y'all next Thursday.
All right, bro.